All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio. You know what time it is. We got right here, we actually got a phenomenal musician. We got Ryan Walter Wagner of Total Shock and the newest member of Another Joe right here live on YouTube and, of course, on the radio station airways as well. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good right now, actually.
Hey, I gotta say, it's the best way to be, man. I hope your holidays are treating you well, man, because I do know with the holiday season, it's always a touch and go with individuals.
No, I'm actually on vacation in Hawaii right now, so that's why I'm doing real good.
Well, I gotta say, first and foremost, we here at Punk World Radio are definitely jealous of it. But hey, definitely enjoy the sun, man.
Yeah, it's been good.
But I won't keep you away from your vacation too long, man. So I'm gonna dive right into this. But I gotta take you back to the beginning of your amazing career this far, man. I have to ask, what actually inspired you just to pursue a career within the punk rock community, man? Because you are so phenomenal at what you do.
Um, well, I don't know if anything, it's just, I guess I just had to. It's just something that was always there for me, I think I've always kind of been a creative person as a kid and stuff. And just as I came up, regular work, regular jobs just weren't really the thing that interested me. So, I just kind of went for the things that were interesting to me. I play lots of music, but I mean, I work as a photographer as well. So it's just kind of, wouldn't say I fell into it, but I pushed myself into it.
And I gotta say, you definitely chose the proper career path, man, because you are definitely phenomenal at what you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And also, as we already know, you are a member of the punk rock group Total Shock. I was wondering, what is the story behind that group? And of course, how did you actually get connected with the other members?
Well, with Total Shock, the other guitar player and me, Tyler Mountainay, we actually were in a band previously called Poor Baby, and it was kind of like more like psychedelic indie rock kind of stuff where I was just singing. Actually started off as just a solo project, solo recording project. That once I put a couple songs out, Tyler and a couple other buddies kind of called me and said, "Hey, do you think we could make a band out of this?" And so we did. We did that for a while, and a few Halloweens ago, Tyler and me decided we're going to do a Rancid cover band for this Halloween show. We had a lot of fun doing it, and I was kind of wanting to write more like punk rock songs again and play guitar, and so we kind of transitioned the Rancid cover band into our new punk rock band.
And that was actually my next question. Actually, if you actually took some of the essence of Poor Baby and actually blended them into Total Shock, but right there, you just answered my question.
The only essence is the two members, really. I wouldn't think that anything else from Total Shock sounds too much like Poor Baby other than, Tyler and me are writing the songs.
And also as well, on December 22nd of 2020, Total Shock actually released the Christmas project titled The Lockdown Christmas with the COVIDs. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that Christmas project. Because I got to say, it's so creative, man, just the name of it.
To be honest with you, though, that project I actually had almost nothing to do with other than the cover art. Tyler made one of the songs, Christmas in Lockdown. Tyler wrote that song and he recorded it at home. And then there's another one, I think it's like Christmas with COVIDs or something like that, that our bass player Chris wrote. The following year, I wrote a non-Christmas song called Late December, which we credited to Total Shock as well. But again, that's just something that I did at home by myself without anybody else in the group. So in a sense, we had 2 years of Christmas songs come out that everybody did individually.
I got to say as well, like, because I really enjoyed that song. I actually have it in my playlist for my Christmas music. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear that Mariah Carey crap. You know what I mean? Every year, you got to have some new Christmas songs, man. So when I discovered that song, I was like, yo, definitely added to my holiday list.
Cool. That's great.
But before we go on the topic of that, since it's the holiday season, does Total Shock have any plans to actually release more Christmas music?
No, I think we had talked about recording like more of a classic Christmas carol because our drummer's daughter is a really big fan of us, and we discussed how she would enjoy if we did a Christmas song, but it never actually came about yet. So maybe.
Hey, hopefully, because I got to say, you guys definitely did. You guys have something going on the Christmas side of the punk rock things as well. But also as well, I actually noticed that Total Shock is actually signed to a company title by the name of Boat Dreams from the Hill. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that company, and of course, how did you guys actually originally link with them?
Yeah, Boat Dreams from the Hill is one of my best friends, Chris Vanderland. And he kind of started that as a way to release his music and his friends' music. At one point, I kind of got involved with him, just kind of helping promote it more, setting up Instagram and Facebook accounts, and him and me were involved in a couple music projects together as well. So just kind of happens now that if I have a music project coming out, we can kind of put it under that umbrella of Boat Dreams from the Hill. But it is, if you've looked into Boat Dreams from the Hill, you'll see it's a quite a variety of music coming out of out of that group, and it's really the simplest way to put it is that Chris is releasing music by himself and by friends. So we're just lucky enough to be able to kind of it helps push us a little bit.
And I got to say, as when if you notice, there's a lot of things coming out of that label, man. There's so many amazing groups just signed to that label, man. It's hard to choose what to listen to when you actually go towards their stuff, man. It's insane.
Yeah, it's super.
June 18th of 2021.
Oh, I think you might have froze.
Apologies on that bit of a lag there for a moment.
Mm-hmm. I think you're back.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a lag there for a moment. So my apologies for interrupting you. Well, what were you saying? My apologies.
I was just really agreeing with you on Boat Dreams from the Hill having like a real variety of music coming out of it. If you look at Sort of Damocles or Too High Crew, Total Shock, like those three groups are so vastly different from each other. But I mean, the real connection is the people involved in those projects.
And also as well, on June 18th of 2000, he actually released my personal favorite album titled Use Your Illusion 4. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this record. And of course, like, do you guys actually still have hard copies of it available to be purchased today?
That one, there's no hard copies. Use Your Illusion 4 was that was us kind of, we wrote a batch of songs, and we recorded them with our bass player Chris, and we decided just to put that one out digitally. Whereas the previous self-titled full length we had recorded with Jesse Gander, so the sound quality is far superior to anything that we've done. And so we pressed 12-inch vinyl copies of our self-titled record. But the Use Your Illusion 4, yeah, that one just kind of came about of like, we had some downtime as a band. Tyler and me wrote a bunch of songs. We showed them to the band. Trying to think of a name for the record, and laughed a bunch about some ideas, and Use Your Illusion 4 was the funniest one to us. So that's what we came up with.
I got to say, it definitely is a phenomenal project. So individuals that are watching that haven't had the opportunity to listen to this record, you definitely got to go out and check it out.
Yeah, thanks.
And also as well, you actually have a vinyl release that came out October 1st, where you actually teamed up alongside Rappel and the Rousers to actually release a phenomenal vinyl project. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about that. And of course, whereabouts can our listeners actually buy themselves a vinyl, if there is any still in stock?
Yeah, you can. I mean, the only store that we have them at would be Neptune Records in Vancouver. Otherwise, you can buy them from us through our Bandcamp, which is totalshock.bandcamp.com. And the release show that we did with Rempel and the Rousers was actually years in the making, because we had released the record right as the pandemic came out. So we weren't able to do any sort of release or party or anything about it. So it was a bit of a delayed release. We hadn't really played any shows in a couple of years. So it kind of felt like that record had been out for so long, already by the time we played a show saying, hey, we have a new record, it was actually probably 2 years old at that time. But it's out now, so if you want a copy, we've got a
And
few left.
do you guys have any plans to actually come back together and do another project, or is that just or was that just a one-time thing?
For like Total Shock in general, or for?
Oh no, I just a Total Shock, and of course the other group you did the show and vinyl with.
Well, Rempel and the Rousers. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we play with them again. We've been friends with Rempel and Mike and those people and Mick forever. Like Tyler grew up with those guys, so I'm sure that something will come around again for playing with them. They're a great band.
And also, aside from Total Shock, you were actually one of the most recent members to actually join the iconic Canadian group Another Joe. I was wondering, how did you actually get connected with them, and of course, actually become a member of this newly reformed group?
Yeah, I mean, Another Joe. Like I've known John and Allison since the '90s. You know, I was playing in punk bands, you know, back in Langley, BC back then, and I was putting on shows and stuff. So that's kind of how I became friends with them. You know, I remember, I think the first time we ever really spent time together outside of being at a show was like picking up a PA that I rented at Long and McQuaid, and they had a van that they could pick it up. So that was the first time that we really spent a lot of time together. But Allison and me had, you know, we kept in contact all throughout the years. We always seemed to be working in a mall, and you know, the stores would be doors down to each other. So we'd always seen each other all the time. And John and me, we kind of stayed in contact over the years. And I'd say maybe over the last like 7 years is when we you know, became friends. And and actually like years ago that we were talking about doing Another Joe with me on guitar as well. But then some life things came up and it just kind of like fell to the wayside. And then as John was recording this record, you know, we talk all the time. So he kind of mentioned to me is like, you know, People Punk Rock are going to repress the P Against the Wind, the first Another Joe record. And I got this new album I'm recording. I don't, you know, what is it going to, I think it's going to be an Another Joe record. And I kind of feel like I should have a band going. And we just kind of went from there. You know, he asked me if I would be in it, and we kind of recruited a drummer and that sort of thing. And now it's come about. I mean, it's super fun. I really love being in a band with John because John is a guy that he's got a million ideas and they change all the time, and it's fun. But the thing is that he's a person that he does what he says. You know, like he's never a flake, and if he's got an idea, and sure, maybe it kind of gets tweaked and reformed along the way, but I love having lots to do and doing it with him. And he's really, you know, he gets excited, so you know, it makes you excited and it's fun. But I've told him a number of times, like he's the guy that I you know, always wanted to play in a band with, and it's fun. And I mean, there is also the level that it is Another Joe, so there's already this thing that's built up. There's not a lot that you have to build up to, and from now it's just adding to that, you know. So yeah, I feel pretty lucky, and I feel like it's a lot of fun, and those are my friends, and they're in a cool band, and they asked me to be in their cool band, so it's hard to say no.
I gotta say, if I had an opportunity like that, I wouldn't say no myself. But it definitely sounded like an opportunity that was inevitable, and definitely something that was bound to happen. Just how you said, you guys always knew each other. Yourself and Allison always worked around each other as well in different stores. It just sounds like something that was meant to be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm glad it's happening though, because even just, you know, the things that we have done so far as a band as a 4-piece, it just kind of seems like every time we're all around each other, it's fun. We're laughing the whole time, and yeah, it's a joy. I'm really, really happy to be part of it.
And also, in literally less than 48 hours, Another Joe is actually releasing a phenomenal joint by the name of Mexico that's going to be off your guys' most recent album. I know we spoke to John about it as well, but I have to ask your take on it, man. From what you are allowed to speak about, because it is, of course, isn't released yet, what can our listeners expect from Mexico? Because I had the opportunity to listen to it. Definitely shout out to John for allowing me that opportunity. And I got to say, it is an absolute it is lit, man. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a banger for sure. Like, I think it's a great first single from the record because it's kind of it's the first song in 22 years of Another Joe, so it's got that Another Joe. What you expecting from it? It's fast, it's loud, and John's writing the lyrics, and it's great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, in a couple days, everybody will be able to hear it. We got a great video that we made for it too a couple weeks ago, which was super fun to make. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It's a fun song. It's fun to play, and it's great to listen to. And it fits in good with the record too. The record is it's got some variety to it. It's got some growth to it. It's got some great songwriting to it. I'm really excited for people to hear the whole album, to be honest with you.
and the one thing I have to ask is obviously now you're a member of Another Joe, and of course Total Shock as well. Is Total Shock something that you're right now putting on the back burner and focusing on Another Joe, or are you going to do both bands at the same time?
Yeah, I do both. Like Total Shock is a fairly easygoing band. We're not trying to make it or anything. We're just like writing songs. We like playing with each other. We like doing a band together. And we'll go through periods where we're practicing all the time and we're playing shows and we're getting ready to record. But we'll also go through times of like a little bit slower. Like maybe we're not going to jam for a month or something because I'm like right now I'm away. Last week Tyler was away. Next couple weeks is going to be all that Christmas stuff. So, there's going to be a few weeks where we don't do it, but there's not a lot of pressure to be in Total Shock. And honestly, there's not a lot of pressure to be in another Joe either. It's like, as we gear up for things that we need to be doing or we want to be doing, then, that's when it gets, more, it takes more of your time and that sort of thing. But for me, throughout my 20s and 30s, I was playing in at least two bands at a time. So it's not a lot different for me. It feels kind of like something that I'm used to. But again, it's just things that I enjoy doing. And so there's no problem spending your time doing things that you like and being around people that you like too, right?
And I have to ask, what is next for yourself, Ryan Walter Wagner, man? Like as a musician and an artist, like, is there anything we missed during tonight's broadcast? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on Punk World Radio.
Well, I mean, these are the things that I spend my time doing is like playing in these bands with my friends. I play a lot of music at home, as my girlfriend can attest to. But I also work as a photographer. So that's a huge part of my life. Like right now I'm on vacation, but a big part of it is me out there taking photos of stuff because that is the thing that I'm probably most passionate about. Like I like playing music, don't get me wrong, and I do it every single day. But photography is kind of taken me into a different world. I feel real fortunate to where it's taken me, but it's just one of those things that like I put a lot of effort into it, not because I enjoy it. It's like I can't figure out anything else that I'm going to be good at. So I'm just kind of trying to make the things that I really enjoy, that are fun for me, that I feel like I get a lot out of, that brings a lot out of me, and get to do that like full time. So I feel pretty lucky about that. You all right? Bless you.
I'm good. No, I had a little bit of water went down the wrong hole. Trying not to make it obvious because we're live, right? So my apologies on that one. But I got to say though, speaking to the photography, man, I checked it out on your Instagram. You have some phenomenal prints as well. Like, do you actually do photography for other people, or is this something you do for your own personal joy?
That's my job. So I kind of always look at my photography in two folds. Is like I have a studio, good side photo, and that is like commercial work. That's why I work with businesses and I facilitate businesses with what their photography needs are. I work with agencies to supply their clients with what they need. So that's like a real commercial world where it takes a lot of like, you're trying to do things a lot more perfect, right? But on the other side is where, I look at it a little bit like my art. As far as what I'm photographing, and that's more like I enjoy doing a lot of street photography. I've been getting a lot into photojournalism over the last couple of years and telling people stories and stuff. So that is really what interests me and what is really fun for me is like photographing people. It was weird because when I first started, picked up a camera, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to learn how to use this camera and go to school and figure out what do I do to use my camera. And at that point, I'm a pretty shy person, so I always felt like, "Oh, I don't want to photograph people. It's just going to be awkward and weird, and like I don't know how to do that." The very first job I ever got for a studio was a portrait studio, and they just kind of threw me in there. It was like, "Here's the gear. Go to Prince George and photograph people." So I had to learn really quickly, how do you do that, because what you learn is, as a photographer, is as soon as someone steps in front of your camera, 9 out of 10 people are going to tell you, I hate having my photo taken. So it was another challenge to like figure out how to let people know, like, this, it's not a big deal. If you're yourself, that's how we're going to get the good photos. So it just became this project that I learned to do well, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I must be, because people pay me money to do it, and I don't have to do anything else other than work with my camera, which is the best. I could never think that would be something that I would be able to do. I've been doing gig work forever, working event production and doing photography on the side. But at one point, I just kind of made up my mind. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen. What are the things that I'm missing? What am I not doing that's allowing me to do this? Because it's a competitive field. There's a million people out there that are photographers or think they're photographers, right? So how am I going to separate myself? And I mean, really, it was just kind of telling myself, you know how to do the photo part. You're fine at that. You're doing good at that part. So if you're going to try and make money off of this, you have to know how to do the business end of it. So then I started to put my efforts into taking business courses, marketing courses, excuse me. And then I was able to construct a career out of it, essentially. So, and that gives me free time to do things like playing Another Joe and playing Total Shock and have freedom in my life, which is the biggest thing for me, is to be able to make time for myself and as much of it as possible. So I'm in a good spot right now.
And also, as well, before we actually part ways, Ryan, I have to ask, what are your social media handles? That way, the people that are watching this interview that aren't following you, how can they follow not only yourself, but of course, Total Shock, and of course, your photography page, if you do have one as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for photography, Ryan Walter Wagner, that's my name. It was my very first email address, ryanwalterwagner@hotmail.com. Not because I wanted people to call me by my full name, but because I didn't want to have like Ryan Wagner 42 at hotmail.com. I just decided that was available. And then everybody started calling me that. I guess it sounds good, or is fun to say. So that being said, all of my social handles are Ryan Walter Wagner. Instagram, all of them. I think I have an Instagram and a Facebook. And of course, my photography website is ryanwalterwagner.com. My commercial studio is Good Side Photo. So same thing, like Instagram's Good Side Photo, goodsidephoto.com. Total Shock is a little different. The Instagram, I think it's, let me get this right, _total_shock_. And that's on Instagram. And then Bandcamp is totalshock.bandcamp. And Another Joe is, go to anotherjoe.com and you'll find everything you need there.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Ryan, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and just chopping it up with us about your newest projects and what you currently got going on, and of giving us a bit of your vacation time to actually do this interview. We greatly appreciate it, and definitely enjoy those palm trees on that beach, man. Definitely take a swim for us Canadians over here.
You bet, for sure, man. I appreciate you having me on and asking me some questions. That's nice of you.
Hey, I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much again, Ryan. And I'm pretty sure down the line we definitely shall talk again soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal week.
Awesome. Thanks so much.